Hi, Craig. I want to thank you for coming to do the interview with us today. You and I have known each other for quite a while, since you
Yeah.
moved into the neighborhood practically.
Yeah.
But why don't you introduce yourself to people who are watching this and may not know you?
Yes, and thanks, Mayor, for the invitation. I really greatly appreciate it. So my name is Craig Whiting. I am married and have 6 children, 5 girls, and then a boy at the end. And currently live in Eagle Mountain. Been here almost 5 years, but I've been doing business out here for I would say almost 2 decades, because I've been in the real estate industry. So I've been watching Eagle Mountain grow from nearly its inception. I own Prime Real Estate Experts. It's a real estate brokerage, and we service the needs of real estate for people on the Wasatch Front, be it commercial or residential. And I've completed myself over 500 real estate transactions, which will be an important detail to answer some questions you may have later on in this conversation, giving me an interesting perspective about real estate and its use, land and its use in the Wasatch Front and Eagle Mountain in particular. So I've been self-employed for most of my career and love living here in Eagle Mountain. I grew up in Utah, grew up in Conwood Heights, lived in West Jordan for 15 years prior to moving here to Eagle Mountain.
Awesome. Well, welcome. That's a little long time coming, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And the first question is, how important do you believe native open space and wildlife are to the residents of Eagle Mountain? And please explain why you believe this.
It's a great question. So to properly answer that question, I need to provide a vision as to what I feel the city needs to be doing. But to understand my vision, you need to understand my background a bit.
Okay.
I mentioned briefly that I own Prime Real Estate Experts. I'm a real estate broker. I've completed over 500 transactions myself, and as a broker, I've had thousands of transactions go through my brokerage. The reason why this is important is I have gained an intimate knowledge and awareness of why people move and where they're moving, and the decisions that are critical to those people as they're making a purchase decision. And in Eagle Mountain, I've got great knowledge about why people are going there. And it's not news people are going to be happy to hear, but it's news people need to hear. And you'll see how the Wildlife Association fits into this, the Wildlife Alliance. When people call me and say, Craig, want to move to Northern Utah County, I say, okay, what are you looking for? What cities interest you? I will tell you the last city on the list is Eagle Mountain. And I usually have to bring it up. Well, what about Eagle Mountain? They will list a few other cities first. Eagle Mountain's last. Well, why is it last? Are you telling me that we've got a city full of people that don't actually want to live here? Because unfortunately, there is a huge percentage of people that it was their last choice. One of the primary drivers is commuting. That's one of the biggest issues. And so Eagle Mountain needs to understand what it has that can attract people to where it becomes the first place chosen instead of the last. Because my vision is that it can be the first city chosen. We do not have to succumb to last place in Northern Utah County at all. But we have to play our cards right and use our resources correctly. And one of those big resources we have is we have land that is undeveloped, which allows us to do creative planning to accommodate amazing different amenities that can be enjoyed by the citizens. The Wildlife Alliance is one of these critical pieces where people can say, I'm going to Eagle Mountain as my first choice because, and we can list a few different things, but one of those things would be the Wildlife Alliance. We are great. We have stewardship over the land. We have an opportunity with this. We have thousands of acres. I think there are over 30,000 acres in Eagle Mountain. And wildlife runs throughout that. And we need to be stewards of the wildlife that's there, both for the emotional benefit of us as humans, but also because of the stewardship we need for the sacredness of life for the animals.
Right.
And the beauty it provides our children as an opportunity to be close to those animals and connect to the earth. And we can go into a lot of detailed discussion about that. But so sort of circling back on my answer here, Eagle Mountain to compete in Utah County should not do what Lehigh or try to Saratoga is doing. We can't compete with some of the advantages they have geographically when it comes to closer, centers of employment, things like that. But we can compete with our land. We can compete on things like the Wildlife Alliance is doing right now, the Wildlife Corridor. That is what we can compete on. We can compete on larger lots. We can compete on people, connecting people to the earth. And we can do that way better than any other city in northern Utah County. And when people realize that we can do that better, they're going to choose Eagle Mountain first.
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate the information you shared.